I will try and bring us to the official start of the I don't know what did I call it? Brick talk,
Brick talk.
brick talk.
I
Yeah,
find that interesting is all that's going on. Construction boom.
right. So let me give them a quick intro so they know what it is. Hi guys, welcome to earnings season. A nice live episode. I'm Randy at RTO on Twitter.
And I'm Danhai H on Twitter. If you're listening on Spaces right now, you already know that.
Yeah, and we have an entire Spaces audience here with us. So we're going to at some points throughout the whole thing try and bring in some people, and keep it current. So then and I just thought, we try to jump in every now and then and just give a view. I said in the last episode, I getting deeper in my bag, and then I know he's doing the same. Actually, joining me on this journey, I put in your energy where your mouth is, and not just your money. So
But my mouth there too. This advisor thing is all the talking.
exactly. So then I an advisory journey, and of course, anybody who's been following us for a little while would then understand how valuable the voice, a sensible voice, when it comes to the world of investing, especially equity investing locally, is. And so, I mean, we can't speak. Not that we can't speak as open as before. It's just why would you give away your value?
The truth is, end of the day, like this is a thing people build their life around. I've built my life around it. So it's not like I can sit on my yard not doing anything. I need something. I need to eat. So yeah, and
Exactly.
to be honest, the aim for me is end of the day, most people I want them to make more money than they're spending on me. I
Hmm.
would think of myself like brokerage fees. Like we're not doing this for 2%, right? So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, having said that, so welcome. I don't know if I said it. Welcome to earnings season. If not, there'll be a nice edit in the actual
Yeah,
uploaded
man.
version.
We said it.
All right, so welcome to earnings season. And that's why the voice has become a little more valuable because both our voices heavy. Of course, if you're listening to this at a later date, you would have heard the disclaimer already. If you're not, it is live. I'll make it very, very clear. Earnings season is here for entertainment, for education, and whatever else you want to do with a podcast or a bit of media on your computer or in your phone. But we are
Indeed.
definitely not dispensing investment
Investment
advice.
advice.
Yeah,
Nothing of the
and
sort.
exactly. And I am Randy. I'm not a licensed investment advisor. You'll hear me speak very widely about the things I do, the things I think should be done at the local market. That's my thoughts, not investment advice. Danhai is an investment advisor, but the things he says on the show should not be taken as investment advice. It is
Nope.
definitely not an investment advisory session. When you are in a session with him, you will know there's a different process
Quite
of
different.
actual investment advisory versus two guys
Just
talking
talk
about
about
the
some
market.
stocks.
Exactly. Right. No, we think that when we talk about the market, it is worth listening to. So we're sharing it with you. And if you're entertained, you let us know. If you're not, I'm so sorry. So having said that, I think you should also have seen on the timeline, the people following on Twitter, you'd have seen the timeline for the link to either see us on what was Periscope, I think Twitter Periscope. I don't know what that is. And also on YouTube. So the links are there. Uh, check them out. I want to pretend like I'm that tech savvy and I could just very quickly just throw it in and tell you the link and throw it. I can't do that many things at one time. So you'll hear us. I'll pay attention to the conversation and we'll have a good one hopefully. So with all of that out of the way, then I walk on. Hold the market.
Market is nice. Doing really well. I expect a lot more to come. Trust me. Eyeing a lot of things right now in the market. How do I speak without speaking?
Yeah, the dangerous, right? It's so rough.
Yeah,
Uh
but I think the
yeah, go
year is
ahead,
going
go
to
ahead.
end. The year is going to end really well. I see
Mhm.
IPO news flying for before the year ends. Although we've seen that before, so I'm hoping that this time it actually we get what we want to get out of it, and some proper IPOs that can really give us some good money, not like the ones we don't like. The ones that people really love, the pop type, and people make
Wow.
a lot of money during those, get a lot of disillusion around them, but we move right. And I
Yeah.
outside of the IPO, some strong gains lining up on the market. I said something. I'm seeing a lot of gains line up for next year.
Hmm.
this year, yes, but the amount as if what can happen next year is almost overwhelming.
Well, you boy, yeah, excited, but I'm shying away from that because one, not to be mean, I'm sorry, guys, but what, like if Dana is talking about what? When you say next year, are you talking like in a Q1?
Mm. Enough. Like you know how we're reporting for December. So December reporting,
Oh,
I think a
really?
lot of
So
things that can kind of come out. Yeah.
early and mid Q1.
hmm
Word. So imagine that we're at what now? The early part of September,
Yeah.
like near the middle of September almost.
I find that interesting too. Before I remember because I usually timer I measure my results year to year,
Mhm.
right? So I remember before it's always like then I just start. It was always a scramble. Say, all right, cool. The year soon don't know. December reach. What next? I've been wrapping up this year while thinking about what to put the money in for next year. So
Mhm.
good to identify things from early. Earlier the money the better, right?
Agreed. Well, I agree.
Some will
I
disagree, but
Yeah, I agree with that. Of course, there's the fact that you're talking about your investments with a time, a time based goal attached to it. It would
Mhm.
almost imply that you seem to think that you should be, how do I say this? You seem to think that you should be predicting stock prices.
Oh yeah, I, I, I usually find that that's an interesting thought. Not that specifically, but the fact that people that say you shouldn't, they are doing it. Like,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
maybe they're not, but that is a hell of a concept. Whether or not
They are
that's
doing it
true.
on some level because nobody is buying. Like, think about it. It's the same people who say they want certain returns over the long term because it can do a 10x that type of thing.
Hmm.
If you're buying a stock today and your target is 10x because you buy stocks for 10x,
Hmm.
then you're predicting a 10x from this stock. Otherwise, then I'm really wondering what you're doing.
Yeah, and therein you realize that we have those conversations, but that's a fundamental difference between actually investing and
Mhm.
the act of investing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, but I was thinking more current market stuff. Like I didn't want to give
Mhm.
people. Literally, if we could talk about that stuff, I don't want to encourage people to be buying stuff on a 4 month timeline based on what we say.
Oh, damn,
And
same, same.
we have a really good track record of being right about this stuff. So why give it away for free? It's still a pandemic. We still have people to feed, right? Um,
Pandemic.
yeah, but we can talk about some of the interesting stuff in the market. I did make a promise that whoever asked earlier would try and touch some of the things. I think one of the more interesting things I heard was like moves by NCB, and
hmm
I don't know what moves. Have you seen any moves by NCB that you find
Well,
interesting?
yes, quite a lot.
That go ahead. You go ahead. I'll let you lead.
Quite a lot, but then, so one thing that has affected a lot, I've seen, and a certain company that's in a lot of top tens, tied to NCB,
Mm-hmm.
it seems as if they're selling a lot of things up. They're putting in heavy orders on the sell
Mm-hmm.
side of the market in a lot of places. So
Mm.
they have a large order in in more than one companies to sell what seems like their full stake. So maybe somebody with more money than them, with more of the stock than them, putting at exactly their volumes, though I doubt that. Right? So that would take a strong effort to own a lot and across. And I don't know that any one person has more stocks than them in all those different companies. So I assume it's that one company making sales across the market. And I would say they're
Mm-hmm.
tied to NCB. So that's a very interesting one. And it's been doing a lot of, I don't want to say damage. He's been doing a lot of holding back for the movement for some stocks. You see, so like you see the stock spiking and then boom, that drop in chop, and then no, nobody can pass the order, so everybody's selling below it, and the stock kind of does a fall. So that one is
Mm.
quite interesting, and there's a very following up on that, a very interesting move by one of those orders. They moved it down. So they moved on quite a bit of orders, but one of them they moved it down to the point where they sold a lot of their holding all at once. So That one's very interesting. Moved by NCB, or I think it's NCB. Can't confirm.
So, so, so one of the things that a lot of people have been saying is that then that they're going to cash. You know these terms are they run around the
Mhm.
entire insider circle. What I call the insider circle. When I said insider circle, people, I mean that finance in Jamaica is a small space. Equity, like the actual make money from it, banking, investment, that side of thing is an even smaller space, right? And if you've done any of it, like you don't like my girl class sometimes, depending on which class you're in, I point out little things that you see all the time. You know, when certain results are
Certain
coming,
moves.
a little, yeah, certain moves happen, and you can tell, oh, the insider network knows, right? You see, there's a certain kind of volume, all anecdotal, but is what I've gotten used to. So when you hear me say the insider, that's what I'm talking about. The people in the industry, you know, somebody work near somebody who hears something, my brethren over this, I said them, come to market with ray. You see those little volume moves in the market. So when you hear me say the insider, thought that's what I mean. Separate from like when we're talking about proper company insiders.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it, as making a bigger point, but it's so hard to wading through these points. You know, let me keep it. Let me do a nice refresh. I will keep it fresh. I just talk about maybe just some of the hot stuff because that's at the end of the day, that's what people want to hear
That's
about.
what we
Like
want
that,
here, right?
yeah, that certified investor baby. How you feel about that? First of all, how you feel about Drake album? Because everybody has to talk about it. It's either that we talk about the pandemic. So, how you feel about Drizz's latest?
To be honest, I was I think I was a heavy listener. I'll skip and go. So
He give him
sorry.
one stream.
I'm sorry, people. So, yeah, one stream. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care. I like Drake's music, but I just haven't got a chance to listen to it in a while yet. But I did like how the everything else around the music has gone, and like nowadays, everything is content. So like the album
Hmm.
cover
Oh yes.
bec- became its own content, and
And
and it has
heart in the head.
the heart in the head. Yeah, I see Barita's
I see
what's
Simon.
Simon's post. Yeah, and then Simon's post. I want to use the official post. So I see Simon get the B put to the forward for Barita. On a 200 like thing. So that's nice. It's good. God, it's so good. I see somebody call it clean fun on the timeline. I thought we are really at that stage where even just a nice simple thing like a bet and a win and a play out is better than what you usually see on the timeline, right? Because of the second thing that everybody have to talk about, which is COVID, right?
Yeah.
And we probably should address that. How you think, like from our realistic perspective, not the usual um, sound bites. How you really think it's going to affect the market over the rest of this year, at least?
That's interesting.
Like,
I've thought about it. I haven't put it into words properly. It's always just company by company, but will really affect the market. I think
mhm,
right now people are dealing with COVID in a much better way. I think the strongest impact we'll see to companies on the market will be like anything that the government swings at them. So like the current 3 days of business kind of thing. Some companies are really affected, some are not. So you read them to weigh out the, how people will actually be affected on a majority basis. So basically, if a small amount of companies are affected to the point where it mash them up, then it wouldn't affect
mhm,
the market like that. But yeah, but generally, we're at a point now where we've seen COVID. Like last year was COVID central, and you saw what happened to the market last year. And, I don't usually watch the market, what the market is doing, but yeah, COVID central last year, a lot of companies were just learning to deal with it. We're just the first shock of it, right? So now we're
mhm.
seeing a lot more people resilient, doing a lot more with it. Even I say resilient, so tourism companies seem to be coming back, doing much better. Uh, Yes, I see the comments about tourism on Twitter. Yes, I see them. Okay, yes, guys. I don't mean that in the way. I don't mean boy tourism is booming. It's just they're dealing with it in a very different fashion, right?
Yeah, no, but
So,
it's the same thing, The truth is, we can pretend not to touch it, but it's the same thing.
mhm. All right.
We
So,
just know the reality of it because that's linked back into like my question. My early
mhm.
thinking, you think, okay, first direct impact would be tourism. We're not doing the Twitter noise. We know that we need this money. Yes, Jamaica is in a bad state, but if you really know the numbers, Jamaica is really under threat of
But it's
much,
very
much worse.
interesting because a lot of the comments is. admitting the problem. It's like we need to diversify away from tourism. Like everybody agrees, but the truth is, if we need to diversify away from, like, we need to be in more than tourism. We're
Mm-hmm.
agreeing that, well, tourism will screw us if it doesn't go how we need to go. So I'm not saying, boy,
Mm-hmm.
bringing them in and all that. I don't. That's not my point. The point really is we need it. If we're going to go away from it, then we need it for now at least, because there's no moving away from it without it. Like
Yeah,
it
would have
it,
that
it says
option.
catch the care. Like without that, so yeah, if no tourism, then we're in a much different. We're affected in a much different way. Yes, tourism will be a risk. I see a lot of things on a risk basis. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's the risk of, okay, tourism open and doing what it's doing, we're holding it in a certain thing there. You know,
Apologies.
we're doing it in a certain way. But there is an corridor. So how I see that is really a funnel. People go to the hotels. Certain visitors do certain things, and then if you certain visitors do certain things, and if you're thing there, if you're in the hotels, then a
Mm-hmm.
tour bus comes and you get funneled to certain places and certain tour sites. We've seen complaints around that how certain people are affected, and that's also a risk. But boy, the tour bus company has been complaining that the tour goes in a certain way and they can't do their usual, bring them any which river or that type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you go to certain places, Duns River, Dolphin Scope, or whatever. So they're getting out of the business. They're getting a lot more business from a lot of things in because now every tourist need to go there if they really leave the hotel basically, right? And so that's the reward we get. That's the good we get from it. But the risk really is we're accepting tourists, and them
And
can
we're
bring anything.
accepting unvaccinated tourists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the risk,
But the
and
reality is, can we afford not to?
mhm,
Because
true.
unvaccinated tourists are there's a certain demographic that our islands tourism appeals to,
Mhm.
and unvaccinated tourists make up,
Might
I
just be
believe,
yeah.
a large percentage of that demographic. And also, you want it can be a little bit of a selling point that,
Mhm.
less requirements. So if you are tired of the
Oh yeah,
noise about the
definitely.
vaccines, it's a
We know
go to
we know that's the
Jamaica.
case. People
Yeah.
people it's I have two minds about that still. Like on one side I'm like John will star. On the next side like we need it, so just have to deal with it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just rough. So it's just, well, more people should just get vaccinated, right? I won't even wade into the politics side, but like I said, from a practical perspective, then you didn't think that's COVID's direct early impact on Jamaica in some ways. That affects companies. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like the companies in the tourist industry, like the um, CPJ with
Expo and
its.
Dolphins go, them guys.
Yeah, yeah. But I was just
CPJ
thinking about like
CPJ did a lot of
CPJ.
stuff.
What
Mm-hmm.
CPJ depends. CPJ's revenue is pretty much a function of visitors to the island,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hotel stays, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
you have other companies like maybe
Express.
Dolphins Cove and
Express catering.
Express, yeah, that enjoys a lot from maybe the same day visitors, the 5 hour cruise ship people,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you, like there's an actual. I'm trying to step away from the politics of it and just come what the actual impact is to us.
Oh,
And
I hate the politics of it.
yeah, my thinking already. You can complain or you can make profit. Not to say you
Mm-hmm.
can make profit and also complain, but
Oh no, do
certain
it.
things you
Do
don't
it.
have any power over, so you try and gain from it. So I look on that and I think, like, if we get for any reason a downturn right now all our tourism numbers are going up. Very easy to go up because we're coming from near zero,
Mm-hmm.
right? No, they're going up. When you have companies like ECL that benefit directly from that.
And at a
Like,
point last year, basically had nobody going through that airport.
exactly. When Mobile Airport dead, ECL's revenue is a function of people that pass through Mobile's airport,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in the event that we see a dip in those numbers, we know practically going to hit certain companies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which then means that you can. It's annoying. Every time I think about something like that, you think, well, I wish I could short those companies, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the question for me would be, how realistic is that dip? Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes you can get lost in the Twitter bubble or the Twitter
Oh yeah,
noise.
definitely. That's very interesting because a certain company I've been watching, uh, you know it. I don't want to call it name, but to me it's a higher risk buy, but the
Mhm.
reward from it is it's it's definitely one of those high risk, high reward type of things. Like you go in there, the risk of it is this goes badly. Tourism goes badly,
Yeah,
and
because the base of that company
mhm.
is the tourism dollar.
But the thing now we're seeing a lot of uptick. We watch the thing there, watch the flight news. I think Mobe is much more impact for that
For the whole island,
for
yeah.
tourism.
Yeah.
Definitely, Kingston not really driving values there. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting to see that if you go in that company and the things continue as they have been over the
Mhm.
last quarter was great, the 2 months into this quarter great, and that next quarter, then if the next month is similar great, then it's like a strong report. So to me, if we continue, if we continue on this path and we continue getting the numbers we get for that, then
Mhm.
that's a strong opportunity for people to buy that company and make a lot of money. I see we and one other are the only people talking about that company so far.
Yeah, and it might be too early. That means, say, the money not finished going in there yet.
Mhm.
Meaning,
And it,
our
yeah.
money don't finish
Oh, but
going in there yet.
I'm not talking. I'm not calling a name, but some clients know because they have signal that they're okay with taking that type of risk and that type of thing.
Mhm.
And of course, I wouldn't throw all the money in there because John,
Yeah. Well, guys, if
right?
you want to have a good session with Danhai, I mean, there'll be a link. At some point, I'll share the link. A nice discount link for you guys listening. A
Yeah,
5%
fine.
discount
Yeah.
to book with Danhai. So we won't go all the way down that road. But I think I know the company you're talking about. And
Mhm.
I will like what I'll pull from that for the people who might not know and wanted, which company? The important thing there is not necessarily the company, but the way in which the decision is
Exactly.
made.
Because, and the
Yeah.
interesting part is it's not that company alone. I'm just talking about that one company, but that one company is not the only one standing to benefit. And
Hmm.
that can be said for a lot of companies. One point can lead it on a long road for a lot of things.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Like, it's funny. Here's an example of that. I think I mentioned this on the other episode about that. What would you do if you had the what is it 2.5 million US or 40 million every month? We have some what would you do thing. It was something about money, and I was saying I'd buy AMG paper and packaging. I mean, I'll
oh,
talk about that. No, yeah, no, something in me. I mean, the business itself is still doing fair to fine, kind of
mhm,
fixed. Yeah, doing fair to fine, kind of fixed, and but you're not necessarily seeing anything great out of them. I remember the listeners, the long time listeners, or people listened to the early episodes. Remember when there's a time when we were hoping that they would come with something good around the plastic ban, right?
mhm. Oh yeah.
Because yeah, as the plastic ban came in, you'd figure that they'd benefit from that, and they're just coming off of the
Mhm.
toilet paper,
I think that's where the problem is. They got very, very risk averse with taking a big loss there. It's just
mhm.
funny. That happens in the market. The moment they take a loss, yeah, your head's
the,
on. Say, boy, this next move makes sense. But yeah, go
the,
back to
the,
AMG.
the, the fear sets in,
Mm-hmm.
but not just not to say that that's a bad thing per se, but it was bad in that I think that they, of course, me just in my pipe dream world, think that they could have capitalized a lot more off the ban than they did,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah.
Here comes a second chance. No, wait, this is fresh because I didn't mention this to you off here. Just here comes a second chance with
Mm-hmm.
the second phase or third phase of the ban. With the straws
Mm-hmm.
and the opportunity that they might have to do paper straws. And I look at the company, and so the base of the company is okay, fair to fine. The company is undervalued in my view, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but the growth not going to come from it being undervalued, and loads of things are
Yeah.
undervalued, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just occurred to me that they might actually do something. No, do something here. Mean they might look for a raise to actually try to. Hey, we missed the first phase. Let's try and do something with this straw thing, right? Let's see if
Mm-hmm.
we can jump on that bandwagon, because also the ban isn't just a Jamaican thing; it's regional.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, at some point, different countries all within the region will implement different phases of this, and others have implemented this phase already.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's also export opportunities. Maybe there's something within CSME. Lots of things. But again, this is straight pipe dreaming. So
Mm-hmm.
the pipe dream is the exciting thing. And if they're going to do something like that, then they'd raise. And of course, they look for the facts around, or the signs for something like that might be coming. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how them cash stay. They've been talking about tooling up, blah, blah, blah. And they seem to be doing all of those things. But
Mm-hmm.
but it's still just a pipe dream, right? You could buy, and the share price could just meander like it has meandered. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
potential alone don't increase the share price,
Exactly that.
like
And
JMB.
it's a strong point for a lot of the companies that we hear mentioned, JMB, Signals.
Mhm.
Like, I think those are further along on the potential list, but than ANG. But truth is, they need to do something, and for it to actually for the thing to actually happen. I often speak about the difference between the US market and our market. When
Mhm.
the US market is okay, we're projecting this in whatever because of whatever is happening now. In X amount of months, we're going to be 200% more profitable. You very likely see a movement the very next day. Jamaica now, well, if you're not going to prove it, then you have to prove it first. You have to show me that the profits reaching, or we're not going to move this stock. And
Yeah.
very often,
You have to show me and show me again.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. RJR talk about it, then them show it.
Think of
Full.
RJR all last year. 3 quarters of strong profits before anybody said RJR out in there.
Then
I
them showed,
remember
what was it, the full year them show? And it
mm-hmm,
still never really,
still
nobody
never a
really
thing there.
care. Yeah. And then after showing the full year, then they had to show the first quarter, and
Mm-hmm,
then you see a lot more the rush. Yet the things that they'd spoken about and hinted at had
mm-hmm,
months, quarters in
but
in the making.
mm-hmm, December last year December 2020 was stronger than
Mm,
December 2021. That's crazy.
mm,
191 million profits compared to 121 million profits. 2020. And I remember when we had the episode with John Jackson on it, and he mentioned RJR. And we were both quiet
yeah.
because we're not giving I'm not giving this one away.
Yo, but John has been trying.
Oh yeah, man.
He oh God, he's been trying to push it for so
Well,
long.
you can't say him wrong. No, it happened. So,
Yeah,
and I
and
suspect there is more to come.
I think he suspects the same too. And
But this is just the first part.
exactly,
To
they
me, it's
really
just
look like
okay. We're more efficient now, making more profits, and then we can go forward and make the expansion plans. We've seen some of that coming out with the acquisition very recently, so we're going to see more. I expect from them.
what do you think,
Uh,
Goldcom? I mean,
I don't, the,
you mind talking about it? I mean, we have to talk about
uh,
some stuff.
I
So.
don't think it's very thing. I don't think it's very exciting. Although that's probably it because he's spoken about it. The raise that everybody sees coming. I think there's going to be a stronger push for more control of the company. I think we saw a lot of that around sometime last year. Uh, was it top 10 had changed? I do I want to say this? So yeah, we've seen some movements for more control of the company, and
Uh,
the increase from 10% shareholding to 21 came.
20.01
To,
or
I remember
20.1.
I just looked at the report, and then that thing had happened and whatever, and the thing that will lead to whatever change, and then he did pick me up, record that podcast episode, and he said if thing they own X amount, if thing they own RGRs. And I said, okay, so me and you are thinking the same exact thing. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was very
yeah,
interesting to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
And more we see it from 10 to 21, 20.1% now. So really that gives somebody the ability to give some direction to the company. They've spoken. We're seeing some of that now. To me, we're always going to have this efficiency push,
Mhm.
but COVID kind of forced the hand. It was either do or die. Revenue
Yeah,
fall out to a point where we literally can't have this much people in the place. It was terrible, right? So they kind of had to do this, building back now much more profitable than before, almost back at 2019 level revenues, very close, making much more profit on those very small, a little bit smaller revenues. So to me, a lot more to come from them and a lot more money to be made. So,
and
but yeah.
no, go on, continue. Finish what you're
The
saying.
capital raise on the back of that. They have spoken a lot about moving to a more digital company,
Mhm.
digital driving efficiency for them, and they talk about digital broadcasting, the switch from digital to analog. They've mentioned it so much times.
Well, because that's a legal thing, right? There's a legal requirement for them to do that switch over, and they pushed it and pushed it
Mm-hmm.
and pushed it. It's more expensive for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
what's the point to them if I mean, these guys have a TV show that is a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a radio segment where they broadcast it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, and look at that push one spot media.
Yeah, but no, but I mean, I said that to say they're used to a certain sort of thing. So anything
Mm-hmm.
that's going on with them must be a heavy transformation. But we see the leadership transformation, we see a bunch of things. And the big thing why I mentioned the 20-point odd is that whatever it is, it allowed them to, it is essentially a change in the law to allow RJR to become at least the associate of another company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that 10% shareholding rule was there from the jump because of our
Keeping them
political
from.
history and everything. And
Yep.
it's media. You want
Oh
to
yeah,
try and
definitely.
ensure that
We don't
media
want
is
it's
held
not
widely.
controlled in a certain way. Yeah.
Exactly. And of course, wherever you have that, you're going to have people who try to go around it. Because the reality
Mm-hmm.
is you need somebody to lead it. If you don't have
Mm-hmm.
strong leadership, then you end up like
Then oh gosh. Huh.
I'm editing myself wonderfully because I remember how I
Uh,
remember that we're live. Strong leadership
I
is
could have said that for
important.
other things.
Yeah. Strong leadership is important. And I think we're seeing the effect of some of that strong leadership and things to come. And they
Mm-hmm.
switch what they are, right? Like I said, they have a radio show which is on the TV. I don't think they expect that to last very much.
Mm-hmm.
I see them, as you say, moving towards digital, but in a real way. What I mean for the business, sound good when you hear it. So what does that mean for the actual business? The business is no like they're Gustazos. They
Mm-hmm.
pretty much are. I think at this point they have a
The other thing that yeah.
did they have a proper stake in it? No,
Yes. So
like a
speak.
controlling.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Because around a certain clauses around that too, right? Because of how they would take up more of the company over time.
But meaning, so RJR
But
Gleaner
yes,
owns I think
Gustavus.
51% of
Yeah.
Gustazos.
hmm
Hmm. Hmm. That is.
And you mentioned the recent acquisition, and that does
Mhm,
make sense in the way marketing is going, and at the end of the day, media company, marketing company, in the way marketing is going, and the more digitization we get across how we access media. Think
mhm,
about something like Star Apple, how branding, how marketing will go through something like that.
mhm,
I think generally we're going to see a lot more from Star Apple, and that's funnily into RJR money. I'm looking at RJR more than Star Apple, to be honest. But really, I'm saying we're going to see a lot more from them in how they. I think I'm talking to I'm preaching to the choir. You're the digital strategy marketing guy, right? So you know all of this.
Well, I have all these wonderful ideas. I can tell you that the Star Apple analytics people guy, because it seems to be like a really, it's like one of those talent agencies, meaning the
hmm
talent has heavy impact there.
hmm
And that talent looks like you can go all sorts of places with it. That, as somebody who pays keen attention to all sorts of data, as you know,
hmm
that gentleman seems to do the same thing. So RJ can go a far way with that, and I'll keep my comments limited to that. But so that I think that's an exciting sign, and it's good because the guy is Jamaican, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a Jamaican conglomerate,
hmm
really media conglomerate, taking interest in a Jamaican new media entity,
Yeah.
showing Jamaican talent.
I,
So
I always
if
mention
it,
that about the market.
that's
But
yeah, the market is causing some amazing things to happen.
mhm. That's been for a very long time. I think the issue that we've seen, actually, I think a lot of good barbershop conversations. You know how bad barbershop conversations go, but very often
Mhm.
I've gotten good ones, mostly focused on the market, and a lot of it is what we're seeing how the market does well for Jamaicans because so much of us are in tune. So much of our generation is investing now, so we kind of have to pay attention to it. So
Mhm.
a lot of value has been created for a very long time, and now we're seeing a lot more coming over and over and over for us. So yeah, if you have a
Yeah,
company and your company is doing well, then we have a local stock market that can help you do even better. Yeah,
yeah, that
we,
is
we've seen
true.
we've seen startups list.
Essentially, right? And
Mm-hmm.
on that note, it makes me think about the next thing that uh, recently IGL, that another
Mm-hmm.
hot topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really happy I never tweeted about it, and I meant to. I got distracted, and later I come back. I was like, you know what?
Never mind.
Yeah, I'm okay keeping my mouth shut. Uh, and but I couldn't. The idea was just burning in me because I see the problem and I see how the market can solve it. Right,
Mhm.
like IGL has put a significant footprint of investment into Jamaica,
Mhm.
but that is as good as that is. Um,
Gonna
and
need more.
competition, yeah, competition will always be great. No
Mhm.
knock to IGL. In fact, competition sometimes help you to get to your greatest form as a company.
Yep.
But
Got lottery.
look, look at SVL, right? Which is also poised to do some
Stronger and stronger.
heavy moves. But the RJR thing is so interesting because I hardly hear anybody talking about it. I like raise. What kind of raise you think they'll do?
I want a thing that I would love to say a rights issue,
Right issue, right?
but yeah, everybody likes APOs. So every companies like APOs. I don't know about everybody. Everybody thinks they like APOs until why the price not moving.
I don't. Yeah, people who know better. People who know better don't like APOs. Because Barita spoil us, like I said. Barita is really the only
Barita give us a
company.
nice thing. If
Yeah,
Barita is the only one that has strong sustained performance after the APO.
a company that looks like it understand the importance of the business and also the share price, the
Mm-hmm.
shareholders. Yeah, shareholders, of course, are happy and understand that unless they're Trini.
Think of the fact that they're think of the fact they're doing another APO. You
Which
think about just and if Signals was is still at 15
mhm. Is it
tomorrow.
not?
No, I don't Emma, it's 15. Think as a Signal with Signal still at 15 around
Mhm.
APO price. You think them can do an APO tomorrow? How well would that go?
Signals.
Yeah.
I mean, do they have a raise open right now?
Yeah, Signals credit. And the last APO we don't people the general idea is we haven't made the money yet. Because I put money in at APO price and never it are still around APO price. How would that APO go?
I don't know, because the reality of these things,
No,
right?
yeah, no, no. So I
The
mean,
majority of the
from retail,
APOs.
retail.
Oh, for a retail investor, I think you see the retail response now to funds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's just obvious. Meaning, retail investors just outside of signals, which everybody repeats, like we heard at the
Mm-hmm.
early part of this prep call. Everybody repeats the same stuff about signals,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not wrong. It's just that don't move the share price. Look at this dip. And big up my
Barita
money,
A
JA, by the way, for
Barita
being our data
APO last
provider.
year was 65.
But in terms of dilution,
No, the price 65 or 55. What was it?
I don't remember. I think it's 80
But
something,
whatever
wasn't
it
it?
was less than 80, and it's been over 80 for a long while now. So basically, people made money in that APO.
Yeah, well, yeah, because again, it would appear that Barita understands the importance of all the touch points in its business,
Mm-hmm.
while for the most part, other companies,
So I raised some money.
most companies don't really give a damn about the share price.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth, right?
Yeah, it's
Um,
funny. People go to AGMs and complain to the company about the share price, and in my head, I'm like, they're not very share as much as you think. Like, you can tell them that the share price don't move, and they know that. Like, they know. Like, they know the share price don't move. What you doing now is not going to save it.
because they don't care.
Yeah,
You can tell. That's why
regardless.
I love when a company's principals own a lot of shares and care about the
Mm-hmm.
price of the shares and
Yep.
returns from the shares.
Yep.
Yeah, but you don't often see that. I think the two biggest examples of that would be like Jamty
Mm-hmm.
Group and well, maybe Lumber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
was Lumber, which was part of the certified investor boy,
Mm-hmm.
certified
I was saying
investor
that
boy pack.
I find it interesting. We just, or the very last episode, after a long break from us, we just
Hmm.
think that we spoke about lumber and it was one of our topics RGR, Honeybun, and lumber. I think we said somebody else, but yeah,
Yeah,
and here we
that
are. Lumber
yeah, and
really, on just one report, it could
mhm,
it, easy at this PE, whatever, $6 stock. And that's just
mm,
that's just one quarter so far to say like this is one quarter of a new level of profitability going forward and the expansion plans that they've spoken of, well, I don't know if spoken of, but they basically throw it at us, the warehouse space they have now that they can remember Mayberry forum and Chris Berry asking Lumber what would be the thing that moves the needle
mhm.
for them, and the answer was more space for storage. They move products so quickly like basically everything here just moves off very immediately. So imagine if they can have more space, a little more stock. That's just more things moving at the same speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the annual
Mm-hmm.
report, we have a warehousing space. We do some warehousing somewhere where so the needle is moving, and we're seeing some of those numbers now. I would definitely expect more, and we're just at the start. We just bought out the company that they were just bought out the land they were releasing, and to me, setting up for a lot more. I wouldn't be surprised if they raise money for more expansion. They already tell us, we want to acquire more companies.
They move. They make
We
all the
want to
moves.
start,
They
and we
make all the
want to
moves
move
of
it.
a razor. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we want to
yeah.
move deeper into the developer space. We hear about construction. We've been hearing about the construction boom.
Mm-hmm. And
If
it's showing
they,
itself. It's showing itself very clearly, and continues to show itself
yeah,
very
so
clearly. Yeah.
Combo is well poised. I expect a lot more to come. This is
Mm-hmm.
just the first in a series of good reports, in my opinion. And
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not even the
this
first.
this looks like one of those. It's very interesting. Think about the Mayberry companies, the ones that you look at on the junior market companies, and you say, I bought this at X at IPO, and it is way more now. The last cost, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
almost all the quote unquote Mayberry companies. Dumbo looking very much like one of those companies you can buy and sit down, buy for a long time, and you make a good amount of money.
Mm.
And it's a laugh in the face of everybody that was saying a hardware store. And then when I don't know anybody in Jamaica that goes to a hardware store and think these guys aren't making money. I don't know anybody in Jamaica.
I know lots of people in Jamaica, especially Kingston. That do. Remember, it's just how we think. We've been raised
But
with this.
not different.
Uh,
I understand if you say when you're buying a hardware store, the thought of boy is a small thing. But think, I don't know. I literally don't know anybody that go to fields or wherever and look around and say, Jano, the people are always full. Any little thing with there. I don't know anybody that wouldn't want to own a hardware store.
yeah,
So
lots of people.
maybe
Lots
it's
of people.
because it's who I don't know, but it's a big thing in Spanish town, so maybe it's
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Feels the institution in Spanish town, but it going back since we got to that from the tangent of a raise. It,
Mhm.
it comes back to what kind of raise you'd want. And you say you'd want them to the right issue. I'd want them to the right issue too.
Yeah.
But the reality is that the market has been primed to think APOs are great. So companies are getting away with doing it. No, and I honestly don't even understand why. Because they're still spending the
But
money.
the truth exactly. Because it's us, Like if we don't want it, they can't do it, Like it's as simple as that. If nobody buys it, I'm not saying not to buy it.
Mm,
I already big up Barita, you're doing the APO. No, I expect it to do well. Cool. But generally, prices should serve us much better. We see the price increase on shares we already own because now these shares are no hot bread. Everybody wants it because I want to buy at less price than it is right now. It just makes sense to unlock more shareholder value, in my opinion, and it gets rid of a lot of the dilution problems that we have.
mm.
Yeah, so to me,
But is it usually like a thinking that I don't want to maybe I can't raise this much money from my limited shareholder
I
base, so
think
I
so.
have to go. I have
I
to go
think so.
external with it.
Hmm.
But we don't really have a history of failed rights issues.
Hmm.
And if
And
you put the
think
and
of
if you
if
put
you
the
want
date
more
at the
money,
proper point, if you just give the proper notice, people who are interested will buy in.
buy, and
Yeah.
then renounce the right issue. And think of Barita again. Then they had a string of rights issues, and the idea was, yo, this is unallocated, and anybody who apply in excess can get. Key was very successful. People got a lot more than they
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote could have gotten based on the
Mm-hmm.
amount of share because I apply for more and I get more. So a lot more, a lot is possible there, and just
Mm-hmm.
really, you can have outside people applying to the rights issue. If them can get them, get. If there's anything left to get, then just get it. Simple.
Mm. It, so what I literally don't understand what the push against raising via
I
rights
think
issues are.
I think it's the usual. We have a thing where we get used to something being done, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. I always talk about faster horses.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
this thing happened. Everybody started doing it. Who JMB gave us APO in nobody never know when is APO a thing? Like globally. Is that a word that's used? Is that a term
No,
that's used in
I've
Jamaica?
only ever
I've
heard it
never
in
in
Jamaica. Yeah.
Jamaica.
It's just called a
It sounds
secondary issue.
it sounds close to IPO. Exactly. Secondary issue. It sounds close to IPO and that was enough. Because we were in IPO craze.
Genius marketing move.
2017 to 2019. Genius. I mean, big up the marketing G herself. We find her on this podcast. Big up she know
Yeah,
herself.
man. Yeah, yeah,
She's a
yeah.
crazy one, right? But yeah, but the thing is adjacency. Make it sound close, and then it's successful amount of money they raise, and then
Hmm.
it's like everybody sees and say, "Wait, we can do that too." You know? And that's nice for me still. So
Everybody follow the
I do
faster
it,
horse.
and then now we have a string of let's do this thing. Everybody doing it. Uh,
Boy,
But look at Key in the middle of everybody doing APOs. Key had a very successful
rights issue.
price issue, still above APO price, price issue price.
Happy shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
Brand new business now essentially reworked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're going to be happy shareholders in the future. And they
Oh,
raise
trust
the
me, I
money.
expect. Mm-hmm.
They raise the money.
Exactly. Everybody happy.
Yeah, and
Meanwhile,
I can't think of any
APO.
reason. If I can't think of any reason why they just go APO, because you'll still get the money. Maybe I'm assuming too much when I say you'll still get the money.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you get the money, and then somebody else might say, okay, well, no, Randy, remember, like, it is, let me, what line here? Like, sometimes it can be used as an opportunity to allow another party to buy in.
No, it can happen. Price issue again. Price issues happen. That's quite possible. You can even we have the interesting point of selling rights that we don't see. We've spoken about this before. We offer to buy rights, and everybody say, "Well, you want it, I don't want it, but why you want it so much?" So
Mm. Yeah.
yeah,
Cimex got Carib Cement via some moves around a rights issue.
price issue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, via TCL. It's a regular thing. So I don't know why it's done. Because literally the only persons that it really hurts are the current shareholders.
Yeah,
Unless you're
yeah.
large enough to guarantee yourself that you won't be diluted. And you usually do if you are like a controlling or a large scale
Mm-hmm.
shareholder.
You're the one structuring that, so you
Hmm.
can put certain things in there. Me on the road, no boy. I can't call down the place and say, "Boy, boss, what want to me?"
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd want them to that. And funny enough, I've heard both things said about them, both APO and rights issue.
Mm-hmm.
The company themselves, I don't know if they've ever said either. I know they've never said APO,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the company itself, but there have been articles, and I guess on the rumor mill, APO has been said because people just think APO when they hear raise. But
Mm-hmm.
no, retail investors should be asking anytime there's a raise, why, what are you
But
doing
you
a
see,
rights issue? And if not, why?
we
Why
still have
not?
that problem with the retail or retail base at this point. For one, is very much uninformed about certain things. They don't know them rights. They don't know that I have a say in this thing. It's my company too. So when
Mm-hmm.
things happen, I can ask this question. I remember like
Exactly.
just the other day. Think about we're now hearing people 2020, 2019, 2020. We hear that we started hearing all of that. People find out they can call the company and ask what's going on down there. Think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. 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 It's just,
It's a
it's just,
small amount of people doing it, and some
yep.
people think it's wrong. Like I shouldn't be doing that. And the truth is, it's your company. You can ask this thing you
Not
said
only
last time.
can, you
What's going on
should.
there? You should.
Yeah, you should. You should be
Your
asking.
money, you know.
Yeah,
Your money.
every time the company has an AGM or an EGM to approve the raising of new funds, shareholders, retail, there should be somebody there asking, what method are you going to use to raise these new funds, and why is it not
And
a
why?
rights issue?
Mhm.
Yeah, why is it not a rights issue? It should be a rights issue. As a shareholder, I should want you to raise money via rights issue very
Yeah,
first.
I
Why
should have
raise it
first
any
question.
other way?
Uh, why that guy on the street have the same rights as me? Like
Right?
him don't own any, but I do. So yeah. Because it's funny because the APO is often a rights issue for certain people.
for the large enough investor, the established controlling investors, oftentimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the
And I water
retail,
though. For 5 feet.
yeah, yeah. I mean, proven sold part of the access shares, and I'm sure some of that money went into maintaining their associate stake in JMB.
Mm-hmm. Strong
They
move.
right. It's a strong move. You know, it's a good investor move, but it says something because if you weren't proven or one of those big guys, you did not get the same chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
in fact if it's oversubscribed, you definitely were diluted. Assuming that you're in there, a prior
Mm-hmm.
shareholder, and you remain a shareholder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
DTL.
how.
Detail APO. To me, yes, I think detail is fine. We'll do well content in future. But the issue to me was, I think a big part of the holding that we're seeing now and the exiting people pushing the price down is we just never got what we wanted in the APO.
Mm, okay, okay.
Because, like, at the end of the day, dilution was heavy to the point where the new profits are so much more, and they're not really beating dilution by a lot right now. We're getting there,
Mm.
but
I mean, but the increased business has also shown itself, right?
oh, definitely. And I expect a lot more to come between that. So, but
The New York business.
mhm, for real.
Yeah, yeah. Detail is an interesting one there. Detail really is an interesting one, because that brings me to it. Like Barita. How would I talk about Barita? Say I try to walk the line with Barita because I don't want to join any of the wrong um, noise when it comes to
Yeah, you know
Barita.
the
Yeah,
noise is, and you know how that go. When the noise comes, everybody listens. So,
yeah. So as let me give a Jamaican perspective. Um, I rate like Chris Berry's footprint on the market because Mayberry has listed so much of the junior market, right? The majority of the junior market was listed by one brokerage house, and of course they have strong stakes in some companies. I'm looking on Barita and some of the stakes that they have now, they're placed in some of the companies on the market, especially the junior market, and they also have they now have a heavy footprint, right?
me very junior.
And their footprint is now in companies that many of these companies look like they're at the second stage of growth. They're about to scale up, so they might do a split and then a raise, or they might do stuff. You mentioned Derryman. Barita have
Pulse
a strong stake in it. Pulse, Barita is either the second or third largest shareholder in Pulse, I think.
and getting continued business from them and getting them better and better.
Right? They recently put a stake in Lab. I'm not sure if they own a heavy stake in Lumber.
I go and get them already.
You're saying I don't know if they have a heavy stake in Lumber.
Lumbo.
Yeah, Lumber Depot.
Uh,
I don't
I
believe
think
they
so.
do. I don't. If they do, I don't know. But I
Nothing
just
top
thinking.
10.
Sorry, repeat that, Danhai.
Nothing top 10.
Yeah, they're not in the top 10. But regardless, like just the things that they are in the top 10 for, like those companies are on the verge of in my view about to take the second step, which require them to do some things, maybe a
Yep.
stock split, a raise for more money, loads of things, right?
You, you,
And
you just gave away something.
what did I just give away? We can give
Uh,
a
the lab. And somebody just brought me up to say talk about the lab, not my youth. But yeah, you mentioned where the lab is right now. I've seen what else the movement I've seen from it. The quiet move, like quiet
very very
creeping up.
quiet.
Somebody people buying, but nobody's talking. And to me, that's usually just means money coming. Think of RJR again. People were quietly buying at $2 and where it is now. That to me, you say it on the podcast, alright? Just look at the 6 months numbers compared to all of last year.
Yeah, yeah.
They were
Like
just a strong. Imagine they repeat the last 6 months this month. It's a $7 stock.
yeah, yeah. No, of course, Lab has had some seasonality in their
I don't expect a
profits.
full repeat, but I expect they're on a to me they're on a new path. The kind of revenues that have been consistent for the so far, and to me,
Mhm.
yeah, more to go.
Yeah, much more to come. I always feel a way talking about the lab. At first, it's just because of the association
And
in the
somebody just said that
past
the man is in
that
laptop, is on laptop 10. What more should he talk about? But you
yeah,
say enough already. Put your money where your mouth.
yeah. But that's just always how it go for me trying. But outside of that, I still am very silent about it. I so funny. I think it's because I don't want people to be saying, oh,
You're talking because you have so much money. Or you
because I
don't know
have
where
so
your money
much
is.
money. Yeah, they don't know where my money is, and I'm talking about it. So I'm trying to push the share price, which is dumb. Because if I like the thing, I talk about every other company, and I own significant stakes in
Bro,
other companies too.
we talk about companies that we're not really so hot at. Think about it.
Yeah,
We've given quite a lot of just your pressure. Like, we don't like how you
yeah.
leave it there. We said that.
hmm But lab is different because I think it's a silly thing. Like big ups to
Mhm.
people with the ignore the noise. I should ignore the noise for this one.
Facts.
But yeah, it's obvious that people are buying it up. Even I myself have been buying a little bit. And I think it's obvious that maybe something else is going to happen. We saw this news from them about the incorporation of scope right
Scope.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, incorporation of scope, subsidiary, and I'm sure the people that did the research on what the lab says scope is, but then you don't really hear anything else after that.
Mhm. But we've seen a lot more. We've seen a lot of nice marketing in this nice pandemic time. A lot of people online now. Influencers matter a lot more, especially to marketing. So starting an influencer marketing platform, and then we've seen things that we with companies that do business with the lab putting influencers in their marketing more and more and more. We've seen, and it's
And not
thing
just
is,
put it in the marketing, in as in not just in ads. Like I
yeah.
saw, what's the name of that chick that does the Jamaican stuff? Like she did something about teachers and the shoes.
Oh, what's
Julie Mango.
Julie Mango.
Yeah, I saw Julie Mango do an entire thing about cooking with GK products, Grace
Mhm.
products. I mean, I know that GK is one of Lab's bigger customers, and I also know Lab have
Yeah.
a digital arm. It's three
Mhm.
dots that's really easy to put together.
And an interesting thing for thing there. Look at how scope is presented. To me, it's not just a lab thing. It's just to me, it's almost a central. There's a central touch point for if you want if you want influencer marketing campaigns running through it, then it's very easy if you go onto scope and you can get that whole process started out without actually somewhere to meet the people because that wasn't there before. So if another I can see other marketing agencies coming along and doing that, coming
Mm.
along and using scope. The person that was at the front of lab, not at the front of lab, the when we just saw soap starting up and all that, the person that was pushing it, or as person that is heading it right now, is I don't think she's a lab person. I think she has her own marketing outfit, doesn't she?
Who's that?
I can't remember her name, but
No man, for what arm?
scope.
Ah, yeah, she has her own company. Her name's slipping me also, now, but she does
Hmm.
PR.
So that
She
to
does
me just
PR,
seems
yeah.
like a lot of other things like access more than just going through lab for it. Like, it can just you just go if you're going to scope, not necessarily lab. So even if you compete, you can go through scope and get some good business there.
Mhm. Yeah, there's just so many options, and the lab just very quietly. I mean, look, like I said, 6 months in, they've made 113 million. That's up 13 million away from what they made the entire last year.
Last year.
Yeah, and I know that there's some new business coming. I know there are new business lines, and I see some interesting things. And I see Barita take a stake
Yes,
recently.
Garrick.
Yeah, Naomi Garrick. Yes,
Naomi,
that's
yeah. I had the
Naomi.
first name right. I was terrible with names, so I was
Yeah,
afraid to say it.
Garrick with Garrick Communications. Yeah, she does PR. She does a lot of things. It seems to be very effective. And from what I know from my lab days and Kimala don't miss. So
Yeah, we see the
yeah,
numbers.
yeah, exactly. And if you hear somebody, just like try and say, if somebody who is in the top 10, if I tell you that I'm still buying quietly and I don't like talking about it, um, and you hear
Enough
that
said.
Barita is buying in, and Barita put out a thing the other day about it. I don't go too deep into it. If you want to build a portfolio, check one of the links in the, if you're listening to this or watching it on YouTube, in the chat is it, get a discount with Danhai. Or if you want to come to a grow, you can come to a grow and learn how to do what I do. But enough said, like Danhai say. Um, I don't own enough of a lab. Let me put it that way. And I'm always in the business of buying more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very quiet. And you know the beauty of it is there's so many other noisy things happening that it not really exciting, and it look a little overvalued
Mhm.
because they're not the count in the last two
You know what?
quarters.
Again, RGRPE before this report was what?
It
Everybody
was
was telling me.
astronomical.
I remember a client said to me, she works there, and she was saying when she heard somebody tell her that she recommended me to the person, she hadn't done her session yet. And
Mhm.
when the person came back to her, told her he had just bought some RGR because Danai told him to. And she said, RGR been on the market how long? Maybe I should stop recommending Danai because boy, this RGR play not sounding like a thing there. And you know how that is, proximity to a company. Boy, it's very often that we who work at the companies feel like nothing now go on there. It's not gonna be a good thing, whatever, whatever.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
right in our face, but we say, oh, because we have so much other feelings about it and dealing with the company, then problems, right?
Mhm.
And then the person bought RGR at $2.
Ooh.
Laughing to the bank now. So
Ooh.
yeah, RGRPE was high. Like I got pushback on the people who more in the know because boy, it's not ready yet or whatever, whatever. I remember when that
Mhm.
report dropped. We had many conversations about RGR very quietly before this. But when the report
Mhm.
dropped, I sent a message Randy, RGR. Hit that.
And in true market style, and look at this. 1 year, a year ago, $1.20.
Mhm.
Second quarter report come out, a little bit of a rise, and in
If you
Q3,
had a 1 year outlook, if you say I want to buy a stock for 1 year,
you could have dollar cost average this stock,
this imagine buying that.
and it would
Put
have
ten
paid
thousand
off
dollars a month, $100,000 a month
amazingly.
on that
Yeah. Put 10 grand a month on it. Put
month.
5 bills a month on it, and you'd have gotten amazing gains,
Mhm.
amazing gains just in the last 3 weeks.
Mhm.
So just in the last 3 weeks, and this is a good example of what the Jamaica market is. So here's a report.
Yeah,
When it came out, nothing. A
ignore,
big buy
ignore,
happened,
ignore, ignore, ignore.
nice and fluctuate. This full year report, big jump immediately. And then it kind of settle off because on the
Mhm.
Jamaican market, you have to do it again and show me. Then
Can't
they
do
do it
more than that.
again, but the buzzes are on it now, and boom, flying. Then a dip, but it's fly, dip
But
because of
think
the
about it.
fear.
If you're buying at 120, if you're buying at $2, you have to go.
Hmm.
And look at the
Oh yeah.
volumes in RGR. It was my problem. I couldn't buy enough RGR because between me buying and the clients buying, there was
Hmm.
nothing left. it
Yeah, yeah.
it became actually hard to buy more RGR.
The
But then
demand
now
is
the noise come,
crazy.
and then everybody running, trying to
Hmm.
scramble to get some.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and just to back that point up, notice this: the volume movement
mhm.
after the full year report heavy, but the price movement really came after the Q1 report. So if you're not even very good, if you're like us, you're looking way beyond. If you're looking a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it's very easy. If you're not even that good and you're just looking 6 months ago, you have time to get in. You have time to, and I hate saying time to get in as if there's a time when you can't get in, but
Mhm. Oh
you
yeah, I
could have
know
been
it.
buying it up to the end of July. You could have started by, and
Mhm.
you'd have been fine. People who bought up to the 11th of August are getting it at $2 and change, $2.14, the 11th of August. And now
And
here
they
we are.
PE high now. People saying to me, they have the next quarter report. They have a $60 million, $67 million loss to report against.
Yes.
Cool.
and they're huger than they were before, and they're
Yep,
not huger. They're
more profitable.
lighter.
Yep,
Yeah. What do you think happen if them do a rights issue to raise money to buy the whole of Gustavus,
eat that.
or peel off a completely digital arm?
Fly,
Yeah,
grow.
yeah. It's such an exciting thing. That's why I included it in that nice little Drakish image.
Mm.
So I included that nice little Drakish image. Showing just the stocks that I've been looking at deeply over the last, and things have expectations for, right. Like then I asked me how come, well, not that just then I somebody I don't know who was responding to it asking how them have tea and them don't have no donut eating with the tea, right? Funny, but like I said to Danhai, I said it privately and then I tweeted it. You notice all of them have a bun in the oven. Um, what one, I like the foolishness. Two,
True Caribbean fashion.
right? Two, I don't want to load it up and make it look like it's more than what it is. And I know people can run with it in a certain way. A lot of people ask me what's the vial because it couldn't be lab because lab is
Marketing company.
a marketing company. It's a emoji.
Right.
It's an emoji. It's just an emoji. It's lab is a gas station, like the famous
Yes,
these
pump.
days Fesco
Hmm.
gas
Oh
pumps.
yes, another one that ran. Another one
Yeah,
that ran.
ran, dip, and running a
Run
little bit
again.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
was watching it and I was saying, again, people started saying PE high or whatever, whatever, whatever. 38 million in that last quarter.
Hmm.
Over the July to December last year, they only made 40 something million in profits. So 6 months of profit was 40 something million. They've not 38 million in one quarter. Mandela don't
Hmm.
commit, Beachwood don't commit. Enough said, right?
Yeah, I mean Mandela half open now, and
Hmm.
I
No, I
went there.
think
That
Mandela wasn't in that last report, and they made that much profit.
correct. And Beachwood
And
might still be
Mandela
able
and
to make the
Beachwood
next
are
one.
not, yeah, and Mandela and Beachwood are not the extent of their expansion plans.
Hmm.
This is just the thing that is just directly in front of it. A lot more to come.
Yeah,
That's
man.
all.
I was having a conversation in the Girl Guide group. Well, you know about it, and I
Hmm.
was just showing how it's linked back to the IGL point,
Hmm.
and these guys looking to go into LNG, LPG, and
Hmm.
Massey looking to list in Jamaica. I think the date has been banded about January. In January, they're looking to list, and part of what the
2023.
concentrate on is 2023 or 2022.
No, 2020, oh, 2022. Yes, sorry, 2022.
Yeah, as in a
Yeah,
couple months from now,
yeah,
January.
yeah, yeah, man. Hmm.
Yeah. Um,
Got ahead of myself.
Yeah, and part of what the whole situation with IGL and the medical oxygen, I need a second supplier. The country need a second supplier is like Massey is right there, perfect timing. So you never waste a good crisis.
Hmm.
Um, and you just wonder if there are any synergies between Fesco and them, because
Hmm.
if you know what big up Phil and Jerry were having this conversation in group, like if you know what um how Massey is doing business now. They're doing business almost like a 1834
Hmm. Yeah, good one.
or,
Yes.
or a Panjam or a Mayberry
Hmm.
MJE.
Sit down.
Um,
Money
yeah,
we
so
need, you know?
exactly. So we like these businesses in this area and we're willing to come in, but we're not trying to be operational, right? If Fesco wants to be this big operation, why not just come in and buy a stake, help fund, and you guys handle operation and we just
Mhm.
counter returns against ROE, right?
Mhm.
Return on equity, equity invested, and it's been working for them. They've been going through that transformation for a couple of years now, years back, and I've been watching them. And no, I just think it's a perfect storm for some. I have no clue whether or not there'll be any link between them. In fact, who is Gaspro?
Ah, who is in top 10?
Well, I mean, who's in top 10 about Fesco?
Uh,
Uh, the top 10, I will show you and everybody who is watching on YouTube or on Twitter's Periscope. The top 10 shareholders as at last reporting date. I mean, heavily insider, right?
Mm-hmm. But if you do a Google search for all those names, you'll find some interesting results. Right?
Some very interesting things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love the sort of shareholding. So low, so
Oh
even.
yes,
Yeah, so anybody can run in, right?
and
Like if
you
you
know
have
it's
a,
also very interesting. Anybody, I think you see a lot of directors buying, and
yeah, they've been buying heavily.
it's called 35, 34, 33. Almost that.
35, 30, but you're the math guy. Like, I don't know, 100
That's no 90 something.
no man, 35,
But
34, 33 is over 100. Like 103, 104. 35 plus 34 plus 33, is that what you asked me?
go again. Go back to the thing there. That's
Did you
all.
say 35 plus 34 plus 33?
All right, there's a big earnings season sign back in me, so I can't see the actual numbers. How much, basically, how much those three number, how much share do they own? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know what the 35, 34, 33 was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're asking about the top 10, the ownership. Was it,
Yeah.
what was, so what was the 35, 34? Oh, you mean the 30, the
Oh, so I
300 and
see.
odd?
300. Okay. Percentage wise, that's what I was getting at. I couldn't, I
Okay.
thought that was a percentage.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, no, no. It's 14%, 14.5% in terms of any
Mm-hmm.
single ownership. That's why I say I really like this company.
How much,
Right?
how much percent the core guys own
How
at the end of the
much,
day?
say that again? I didn't catch that.
Is it over 80?
Who?
They, is it over 80 at the core?
The
The
core
core.
guys?
Yeah.
People
Not
can go
not
and do
not
that.
not core, not the name core, the center guys.
I think they're close to it.
Yeah, but
The- the-
that's not getting at. They with this type of company, there's not one guy owning 80. So they can all own it. They can all together own more than 80.
mm,
And it can count on them to
sprinkle
not
salt on
really
that
selling
one.
the serious thing there. So it's very interesting.
And they've been buying heavily, as you said.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
more
they've
to
been
come.
buying.
More to come.
Repeat that?
More to come.
A whole lot more to come, probably. I said to that Bridget on Twitter, say, I'm looking, I'd be very surprised if it ends the year below $3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a little after we had that conversation, it peaked a little over three and came right back
But
down.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, but it's not January 2022 yet. Let's say it looks like it in a January 2022.
Will be interesting. It's
Very,
one
very
to watch.
interesting. One to watch. Oh God, I hate those terms.
Same.
Very, very interesting. Um, Another one to watch, Carib Cement.
Oh
Everybody talks
yes.
about it, but what do you think? You think they're doing an APO or a rights issue?
I think more right issue.
I really want them to do a rights issue, but
Mm-hmm.
the
Same.
APO allure, they might get sold on the APO allure.
Mm-hmm. True. Has Barry done an APA?
He has about to, I literally about to say to you, has a berry company ever done an APO?
APO.
I think maybe the closest would have been Detail, and then
Detail.
and it
They didn't
wasn't
do it through
him.
Barry. Mm-mm. They
Yeah,
did
they
it through
didn't do it
Barry.
through them.
So to
Mm.
me, I don't know. I think those guys see it. And they're pretty high up there in the numbers and ownership. And I think there is more interest. A rights issue to me would work better for Timber. For the way I think Charismatic is going.
Hmm.
I think Big Boy really wants a larger stake. And they're shifting around ownership and the way it's working there. So I think they're going. I think we'll be going with thing there with a rights issue. Just take in some more and maybe get the rights from somebody to buy it in. They already own TCL, so maybe they get TCL's rights and pick up more than so of the thing then. And we
So
move into dividends. So well, we seem to be moving to dividends. So
yeah,
I think
we
that's
seem to be moving to dividends, but I mean they're pretty much
oh yeah,
almost
I
definitely.
know, but you know how that go.
Yeah, yeah, that they're going to put it. My thing is why they're telling us so early.
Exactly.
They told us a couple of things very, very early now.
It's
They tell us about
our
the expansion,
next
expansion.
year, half next second half of next year. And that to me that sounds like race prep.
right?
Like, okay, you know what we're doing. You know what we're doing. We're going to
Mm,
get you, and then a couple months later, we're going to make you a part of what we're doing. Come and get some shares, come and get some money into
mm.
this and fund this our company so we can grow our company.
Yeah, and the people in the monthly the subscriber group would maybe hear me talk about it's more the thinking behind that and what it could cause and what are the drivers for it, for why we think that will happen and when it will happen to. But this dividend policy talk is big because they haven't paid one in 16 years, right?
Yep. And we've seen a lot of balling over the years from Carol
A
Smith.
whole heap of balling.
Unbelievable. Mhm.
Yeah. At one point, I think there's. I'm sorry if I have this wrong. You don't have to piss off the wrong people, but at one point, I believe it was publicly said that there's consideration of suing.
Oh yes, I remember that. Or
Yeah,
but I remember things wrongly all the time, so maybe
yeah. No, I think it was a newspaper article. That's why I'm
oh
not
yeah,
saying
it's
the
true.
names. I think it was a newspaper article about just the fact that there's no, no dividends in so long, and yet it would seem that some shareholders are compensated
Mhm.
otherwise. Blah blah blah. And that sort of agitation, I think, has brought us to this point where they now also have competition. They have a market that they're not even meeting. It would seem that they're not meeting the
The
full
quota.
demand for. Yeah.
Yes, and it's just funny because that gives some good money to other companies in the market. Somebody
Hmm.
is living really well in that spread and can do
Hmm.
much better. So until if the 30% take up the 30% expansion can be seen as some good protection for for the demands. But what I've seen a lot is utter complaints about the supply from them, and then
Hmm.
quietly thrown in there is we should remove the thing there. We should remove the protection around that because they can't fulfill the demand, right? I've seen that, and that's very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's like almost every week, almost every month, there's an article
like
talking
it's
about
almost
it.
like it's lobby against this type of thing.
Against or for, you can never tell with these things. You never know where it's coming from. This one
You're
is
right.
from.
You're right. Okay.
This one is from May. Every month there's something. I pretty much just saying that they can't get running out of cement on those days happening all the time, and they're having shortage. To me, all I'm hearing is they're not meeting the demand, and look at how good the company's results have been just based on the demand that they're trying to meet already, right? Way ahead. Way, 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 way ahead. At the half year mark, they're almost achieved last year's record profit.
More capacity,
Um,
more so.
right?
Simply.
The retained earnings actually positive for the first time in however long. The debt being paid down heavily. I think they'll pay a dividend. But I think what they're really doing with all these things is they're putting out the data points, as you say, to lay the groundwork for a raise.
Mhm.
So all of your usual concerns, let's address them early. Oh,
Mhm.
we're not managing the market well enough. Well, it's actually good. We're doing so well, and we're actually looking to increase our capacity. Oh, we don't pay dividends because of how we handled the debt in the past, and with that stuff for the preference shares.
Itself is a concern. What was a concern? Boy, US denominated debt not really working. And they cut out 2.3 billion debt set them get rid of. We
Hmm.
broke.
And it's so funny that I went down that rabbit hole and I saw something with TCL. Like when they bought into TCL, there's like a guarantee thing that at some point TCL would have to place with Cimex like I think 7 million or 70 million US, and then they
Mhm.
had to pick it back up in like withdraw it in 2021. Lots of little things. If you do that, it allows you to see how far back you can see the signs for these things with actual dates around them, right? So I do also expect them to raise. You think they'll do a split before they raise, though? 'Cause
I
that,
would
that
do.
psychological that psychological
Yeah,
$100
100,
price,
and they're consistently above the 100 now. And look on the buy queue, look on the sell queue, how
Yeah.
quickly that moves to 130.
Yep. 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 But I think, of course, psychological. You need something good more than just results to push them above that psychological 100, right? Seeing the same thing with GK.
TK. Hmm.
Obviously worth much more. Obviously about to do something very
Oh,
interesting, and um just psychologically that $100 thing because people don't
too
want
much
to buy
money.
there.
Why not?
Yeah.
Shares are potty.
Yeah, yeah. It allow people like me who can understand and time those things to not have to put in money in and wait, right? It's a beautiful thing. 'Cause again, Look at the 1 year, very flat.
Madness.
Lots of
Bro,
opportunities to come
think
in.
of 2019, was it?
Mm-hmm.
End of 2019 when we did the run through of the investments we did for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just how much time we still make money off Cap Cement going near to 100 and not again and going back. And then it's
Yeah.
finally above the 100 now. Yeah. To me, it makes sense for them to use that split raise and just run with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but of course we can say that from
Might
where
do
we
it,
are. So,
just do a raise and done. But
yeah, because
even
the
if I,
APO thing is so attractive. I really wish we need more people. If you listen to this and your own shares in a company, go to AGM and ask them. Tell them you don't want an APO.
it's a right short or no.
Yeah, right to share. No, you have your dirty money. You're willing to get them. Yeah, go the right issue. Make people buy the shares because to me it's almost insulting when them go
Mm-hmm.
APO versus right issue because
It's
it's saying
literally
that
just
I just don't care
me
about
and
you
you.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you small guys, I just don't care about you. Yeah, because
I'm
if you're
going to
big
raise my
like
money.
yeah, I'm going to raise my money and I'm going to reserve my piece for myself so that I don't get diluted. You
You,
guys,
I believe in it.
exactly.
It's a man for
Yeah,
themselves.
but that's the truth. That's how it has always been. That's the reality of the market. We just lie to ourselves if we don't see it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and sometimes you see it, you get little gems. So let me carry the circle all the way back around to where we started with AMG paper and packaging. With me thinking that the thing that makes AMG exciting to me is the possibility that they'll raise and do something around the straw ban that's about to come in. And I feel like they might try it this time because when the first plastic ban came in, they were conservative and they never really do anything much. And this time, let's try something. Yes, we might not beat the big, maybe the Chinese paper imports or whatever, but we can try something. Maybe it'll work. Um,
The truth is, again, competition is always good. Like you don't have. It's not like it's whether or not they make more money. It's not. I don't know why people always do that. Too. Like the
Really dollar
people
figures.
people that buying on the market as well do it.
Mhm.
Or China is doing much better than them, or the company in China is doing much better than them in volumes and whatever. But my question is not. My question is that whether they'll beat China or even like tomorrow, maybe eventually. But my real concern is how much more money will they make going into this? Simple as that. Will it matter to me to go in and get some more profit there? And just done this up. It's not boy, they double their money, but them still not beating China. And you're concerned. Like, you just double their money and you're vexed.
Yeah, it's the looking at the wrong thing as a target. It's the same thing I happened when that new company when Fontana was listing a pharmacy. I'm like,
Mhm.
yo, there's no other pharmacies on the exchange. It's a new
It's
business. It
it's
doesn't
the
have to be
same
unique.
thing. Think of how Fontana became Twitter favorite stock. But the same guys were saying pharmacy as if it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a shift in thinking, yeah, man. When you start looking at the market different, it's a really a shift in thinking. Like it don't have to be a great business. It just have to be a business that I couldn't own a piece of before that I can now own a piece of, right?
It's
If
it's
if it's
it's
priced right,
the truth is, it's great for me because my goals align with that company and I'm good. Or where I am at, I can't own a pharmacy. I don't have access to the money pharmacy is making because my money just can't do it. I can't go and start a pharmacy. But my little piece
mhm,
can invest in a pharmacy and a pharmacy. I can get pharmacy money on my level of money. Simple as
mhm.
that.
Boy, I, I don't know. They also did an early bit of news with their talking about putting a new branch in Portmore,
Mm-hmm. So how about the last
and I
time?
wondered,
Early talk.
I wondered why they did it though, because they listed the, that when they listed how much did they rate? They left like 200 million on the table, I think, or
Uh-huh.
100 million
What?
on the
Yeah,
table.
that's 188. They came at market. They could have come easily much more than that.
They left 188 or they came at
No, they came
188.
at $1.88. That's how much they came to market at. They could have easily raised much more money than that.
Oh, okay, yeah, man. But I mean, how much did they raise
No,
overall?
no, those are the things I don't remember.
Yeah,
But not often.
meaning how much out of the 500 limit?
It's a good thing. JC can tell me. I just check prospectus.
Yeah.
But yeah, the early thing there. But I think interesting. I wonder if they care about the share price.
Because there is some strong operational founder ownership there.
And think about the fact that what next is coming for Quintana between now and Portmore. And we've seen a lot of resistance in that queue.
Mm. You mean it's just results?
Yeah, like think about the thing then. If results come and it's all right, or maybe it's good enough for $8. To me, it's it should be it can warrant the $8. But then we know about that repeat thing. You give me a good result, it worth eight. But then for the next year, everything just says, oh, we're worth eight. Buy at eight. That's it. So give them
Mm.
the early news and say, cool, we have something to wait for, something to come down the line. So it's worth that eight because down the line we get something more tight.
I don't know if they care about the share price to the extent that they do that.
I'll you're right. That's kind of
Yeah,
far fetched how it feels. Though I
yeah.
think they might very well raise money for that thing there. For that thing there. For the
The
for more
new
for more
Portmore,
2023. That's far away still.
and they're talking about it from now. So if
No.
they'd raise whatever is left from what they can raise on the junior market, assuming that they choose to do it that way. Um, you think they'd go APO? Like they don't care? Like they take the dilution for the take a little
I
dilution
would
or
hope not. I would hope not, but I believe they would. I
mm,
believe they would do an APO. I would hope that.
yeah, I'd hope not. I'd still
All right.
buy in.
Again, they have to take the dilution, them or us.
True, true.
They
That is
raised 234 million.
so they have about 200 odd mil that they can raise again. Okay. They'd be very interesting if they do choose to do that, right? But would you buy in anticipation of that? In anticipation of yeah,
For
because it could be no, it could be very soon since they choose to tell us 2 years from now news no, right? They could choose to do it now, and the second they say it, the share price is going to move.
if I were to buy for it, if I were to buy for a raise and all that, it would just be on
Mhm.
the raise making me money. It's a rights issue. I know I fully believe after rights issue is going to do it. It's going to do thing of like, can tell me APO from now, we're gonna raise APO next. Then I'll be way more iffy on going into that. I probably just meet them down the road when things done bill profitable.
Mm.
Buy it and get the money there.
Yeah, yeah. Timing the market is better than timing the market. Yeah.
Funny how definitions change, right?
Right, right. Word. So, but maybe I don't want to go too long.
Yeah,
I,
we've been
I, I
rambling. So I think we
yeah, we've
should
been open
question.
it up open it up to everybody on if you have questions. I've said it before, I'll say it again. So if you want to, you can ask us questions on the space. And
One
of
of the
course you go ahead, say that again, Danhai.
so one of the 876 man them big up Dundas. Just remind me Barita's APO price. The first one, 30, 49 and 52. Enough money makes sense then. It's at 90
Oh
something else.
God, man. Yeah. Their share price has gone crazy. And I did mention the whole DCA thing earlier on. Just to answer
Oh
the
yeah.
question before, yeah, it it was thousands. I think it was 3,000%. 3,000 some percent.
Yeah. I was the dollar figures. It's interesting how much money you have spent. How much if they spent $10,000 on JC for the last 8 years,
Mhm.
$10,000 a month for the last 8 years, you'd have only spent $964,000 or so.
Mm.
That would be worth $11 million right now.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll show people. I'll show people just a small part of it because it's just something that's I scratched together to to be sure. I want to make sure so I don't have any errors in this thing. Yeah, you'd have made 10 million profit if you're putting 10 grand every month in the JC from when they IPO till now, which would have been 8 years. You would have made 10 mil. You'd have
Yeah.
made 10 mil.
You spend 1 million and make and make 10.
You spend less
That's
than
less than 1 mil.
less than 1 mil. That is crazy to me.
There are quite a lot of companies you can do that same strategy with and make a lot more money. In fact, we spoke about some of them on this very podcast today. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it's not that I want to show it, but I don't know how best to show it. And it have a little point there, and that where it flip over that I wonder about. I mean, I'll show it anyway because these numbers are fine. And let me see. So it's showing this. You would have, if you put 10 grand, let me lay it out clearly for anybody listening. If you invested 10,000 Jamaican dollars every month in JSE, meaning the
Jamaica
JSE, the
Stock
stock,
Exchange Limited.
Jamaica Stock Exchange. If at the end of every month, the last trading day for the month, you put 10,000 Jamaican dollars into JSE
That
stock,
one stock.
regardless of the price. Yeah. At the end of, I think I did this up to September 2nd. So it is not today's prices. I haven't updated it yet. But at that point, you would have 55 million worth. In fact, let me get the exact number at the bottom here. 941,156 is what you would have spent out of your pocket, and your portfolio would currently have been worth
Yeah.
$11 million. So that's $10 million worth of
Profit.
straight profit, or 1,070%.
Maybe 11 millionaire after spending 1 million.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. And that's just putting 10 grand Jamaican in the JC every month at the end of the month. Right. So there's something coming where I'll show more of that, but I did for every single stock. And
Mhm.
yeah, DCA on the JC is almost unfair. So you'd have made 1,000% on top of your money if you only have 10 grand Jamaican over the last 8 years if you're a DCA in JSC. And that's just one, it's not even an exciting stock.
Mhm.
It's like a lame stock. Lame stock, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine the people who, imagine if you're DCing Barita,
Bro, how much did I
or
get?
yeah, or
That
NCB, or
Carib cement.
Carib Cement. God, yeah, yo, if your people them did buy Carib Cement shares way back in the day, go and dig up those papers and look it up. You might be a millionaire, no exaggeration.
Mhm. I know
Yeah.
somebody that found the person already had some good money, but
Hmm.
their grandmother had left them gray shares she had gotten a lot of back in the day. And they
Mm.
brought it in and they thought it was a lot of money. And then they adjusted for the split.
Oh, the splits.
When I say rich,
Wow. Yeah,
when
yeah,
I say rich, like the amount of rich that was.
yeah, yeah. Those stories come to me a lot, actually. A lot more these days. A lot of people them don't know them think it can be them, but no, if them they buy like
Grandma never knows that she was giving that much money.
uh-huh.
I don't think
Easiest
grandma was even that rich either. So,
yep. Yo, easiest path to generational wealth in my view. Stock market. Investing in the
mhm.
stock market.
Oh yeah,
Easiest
definitely.
path. Easiest path.
Hmm.
Greatest gainer to, and you can actually get the wealth within your lifetime also if you do it right. Yeah. Major, 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 major thing. Um, well, like I said, I wanted to take some questions from
Questions.
anybody.
Yes.
And I see one from a guy named Ronil. Ronil, you hearing us? You have to unmute and say something, Ronil. Evening. Unmute Ronil and ask you a question or tell us a comment that you have.
We're going to
No,
go.
no, no. Mm. Um, yeah, honestly, I love this market, and for me, at least, I think it. I think yes, yes, more people will continue to join. More people have been joining. Like if you check even just my Twitter going back 6 or 7 years, you see the odd times when I mention tweets and what the conversations are around it versus a year or even a month ago, where there's an like this is happening on spaces. No, I don't know how many people are in the space, but it's probably more than 100 people. I think. I don't think I could have gotten 100 people to sit and just talk about the local stock market. I listen to just me and Abridging talk about the stock market even 10 years ago. I know for a fact they couldn't because I used to try. So there's a huge space, a huge change in terms of what's happening. And I think that will only continue as younger people come in and realize, also as more people realize that, yo, it's not what you think. It is not as difficult as you think to do it on your own. As better service providers come along, like Danhai here, as more people get educated, like what do it grow, and just more people realize that, yo, you don't need a lot of money to start. You can start with $5 bills, you can start with $100. You're going to have more people getting into the market in an active way. And then maybe for the people who are savvy, at least how I think of it is, I no longer just think about like Nasdaq, like NYSC. There are
We're all
loads of stuff. Yeah, we're our own market with our own like a unique quirks. And there are loads of stock markets around the world that also have their own unique quirks. How the Indian stock market performs day to day is completely different from how the Nasdaq performs in many other ways. And that stock market have a whole heap of liquidity. How the Hong Kong Stock Exchange performs, the
NYC and NASDAQ perform differently.
completely differently. There are little quirks when you get it, and at this point, we're at a point where there's a new market essentially being good. People who were trading stocks in the 90s cannot bring those skills to the current market and expect to make any money, right? That it just won't happen. It's a new market. So somebody coming in now has the opportunity to learn something that will be commonplace 10 years from now. But you would have been there learning it when everybody else is doing it. And I think that will only continue and it's going to get more and more active. So I don't know if it'll be like NASDAQ, NYC,
Very
but
different economy, different companies, different people.
yeah, man.
So
I think there'll be more regional integration. I think the JSE will be very much a Caribbean exchange. I'm hoping. And I think that we'll have not just a Jamaican impact, but you'll know certain things when there's a Trini impact. You know, when there's a Bayesian impact. You know, some companies react a certain way because of the sort of investors that are in it. You know, others react because they're most of these kind of investors. The same way, like how now I track so heavily sentiment and noise and hype, the hype stock and what the hype stock reaction is in order to the shorter term plays. But um, is really, if you listen to the show, we don't do long term or short term. It's not that we're geared more towards the short term. It's that there's no long term or short term. Yeah, it's
exactly.
opportunity, goal
And
time, and what's within that space.
mhm.
Yeah, like a lot of my investing for the last 2 years has been so that when one or two things that I've been waiting on for years happen, I will have a large enough portfolio to really benefit from that. Right? And it takes 2 years of short term heavy shooting to build up to be able to do a move 3 years from now. Right? And so I don't separate the long term or the short term. I just think your goal
But
time.
that's the thing, really.
Yeah.
People use long term, short term. The thing is, those things mean different things to different people. And when a client asks me, they have a long term, the first person I ask, what is long term to you?
Yeah.
That's
And
the truth.
just to pause 1 second, because I think maybe some people aren't hearing. So the question that was asked on Twitter was essentially, where do we see the JSE going? Is it more like the NYSC in terms of volumes and or the Nasdaq in terms of volumes and availability and features, or somewhere else? So that's what we're answering, just in case you didn't hear it.
Yeah. So yes, more like it. I wouldn't end the comparison with
Sorry if you're
anything
speaking,
different.
we didn't catch that.
But again,
I'm
yeah.
not
So I
hearing
don't
him.
think I think Randy, you hear me?
I'm hearing you fine, Danhai, but I didn't hear anybody else. But you can go ahead if you heard him and just tell us about the
Oh
question
no,
or what
I
he
didn't
said.
hear him. I was repeating, reading. I was addressing the question. It really is. I expect that the market will be more like it because that's a more developed, a longer standing market. It's just not necessarily that we're going to end up at that point. We're not going to be there. It's going to be a different thing entirely.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's just it. I think the retail investment class in Jamaica is really coming into its own now. Retail investors are now having more of a voice and seeing what they really
And
want.
more of an impact. Look on that market. Look on the things
Yeah,
really retail investors are driving. So
yeah, yeah. So it's showing, and I think more of that will happen. This means that don't ever worry about certain things like, oh, if something isn't popular enough, then it won't raise the money. 90% of the time, in my personal view, the money is already long decided and raised privately. The pensions have an agreement; they're coming in at a certain level, and then there's a little piece left for the retail investors because we are the ones who will drive a lot of the larger spikes in price, right? And so in time a company doesn't have a heavy retail investor presence, you can tell that the share price tends to stagnate. The USD market from the JC is a great example of that. Almost everybody on that market is more geared towards holding for the ultra long term and looking for some great things, but them really just looking somewhere to put the USD, right? And so you do have a lot of liquidity, and
mhm.
as a result, you see just
The problem is very interesting because a lot of people they put on the US market, the USD denominated out of the market because they just want an investment option for their US dollars. And then we don't get the performance we want out of that, out of input. Because they don't define a goal beyond I just need
mhm.
to put US but because it's the currency don't mean they must have a goal around it. I want this to move in X time and mm, that just don't really happen too much. So
Mm.
more
So
often than not, they convert, make the money there and switch back.
I agree with you, and so you see the effects of it. There's a lot of people going on the USD side of the market,
Mhm.
tend not to
I think they're
have
good. People,
tend not to
why did
have
I leave the market? Because just our friends don't know. But the thing is, when was the Jamaican last $100 to 100 to 1? That's fifty
what the
percent growth. 100 to 150. See how long that is, and yeah, you can beat that return. On
yeah.
this market, you can beat that return. So yeah,
So I hope that's what you feel. Of course, IPO fever. IPO fever is a real thing in many markets. The Indian market, I like the Indian market in case you haven't figured. It's one of the markets I've been
bro,
looking at recently.
it was interesting because people act like IPO fever isn't in the US. But
It's built on
think about the fact that every time a popular company goes to IPO, we hear about it locally and everybody is talking about it as if boy, you know, as if they're investing there. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But it
Mhm.
reached that point where we're talking about it. You think they aren't talking about it? You think they aren't rushing to get it? To the point where we're getting complaints about how the US IPOs are run and everybody wants a piece type of thing and we're not really getting the piece we want. So yes, IPO fever is quite a phenomenon, not a local thing. I find we often do that. We don't like something about the market or we feel strongly about something and then we make it a Jamaican thing, the Jamaican market, this Jamaican market, that. But you don't have a point of reference. You don't know that this is a common thing everywhere. So yeah. When him
Yeah.
again, high share prices. That's not Jamaican thing. Like people,
Yeah,
not people
right?
unwilling to buy at high share prices. In fact, people are unable to buy high share prices in US market. Buying one share of Berkshire, hey, good luck.
Yeah, if you can get it. If you can
With
get
all
it.
that money,
Well,
with all that money.
that's another thing I think will come from the evolution of the market. More market makers, more
Mm-hmm.
market making,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is it would seem that will happen more and more. We saw NCB talking about that with
Say,
GHL.
I wonder if we're going to see regulation and regulation around it, like the designation of a market making role from the regulator standpoint.
That would be interesting. I see um a new board of the
or FSC proposal.
FSC. Yeah. No, not the FSC proposal. A new. They seem to have a new board. No,
Oh yes, yes. And speaking and part of that board, the vice chairman is from Cayman Market.
is from where?
Cayman Market.
Word,
So
word.
we
So
know
you get.
how we know what Cayman is. We know where they stand in terms of money. So we can
Mhm.
imagine what their market looks like. Yeah,
I mean, everybody know about the whole Cayman tax haven, but it really mean international banking experience and
yeah,
experience of, I would hope, retail shareholder rights versus institutional shareholder rights.
yeah. Again, I would, I would definitely hope that's a focus leading towards retail shareholders.
And so that might be one of the bigger points. But in simpler terms, I'm sure people have less technical questions. I'll take one of the ones from YouTube. If anybody has any, or like I say, you can jump on Twitter and ask a question. I see somebody mentioning Tokyo.
I
When
might
last,
prefer. Somebody mentioned Toki. Toki still listed. No.
Mhm. Yeah. What happened to them though? The company's still around, no?
Company still around as far as I know. I haven't
Hmm.
really been doing much checks to be honest, but yeah, I'm not seeing them on the JC. So I think they have been delisted. I don't know if they're coming back.
All right. I don't want to drop any of the more. I don't want to talk it way through any of it. I really want people to ask a question. So if anybody has a question, you can ask it now. As somebody mentioned, what's happening with Caribbean Cream? I saw a comment on that earlier. I think it was Caribbean Cream.
What's happening with it? What that mean?
Perspective. Yeah, let me show the question. Caron on YouTube asks, "What's your perspective of Caribbean Cream?"
Love them. They're doing big things, and I think this solar point is a good point for them. I think one of the companies that can benefit really well from that. But beyond that, we've seen them really take advantage of the COVID situation. No, I don't want to say like that. They really adjusted really well. It's very similar. I had a conversation about Honeybun today, but yeah, it's very similar to
Hmm.
that. Capitalizing on the way the the way business is being operated now. So they're moving from just the
I,
supermarkets heavier. They're pushing more out towards trucks running the outlets, building more outlets, or really
I think we lost a
scoping.
little piece. Sorry, I
Yeah.
think you said we lost at the first part of what you said. If you can just repeat that, Danhai.
Oh yes, and they're moving more towards things. They're moving. They changed the way in. They move. They shifted towards how consumer behavior is happening now with COVID. So they're moving out of
Hmm.
supermarkets, pushing more towards
Direct to
outlets, the
consumer.
truck running. Exactly that.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're really finding where they are. People at their homes now. So really, that to me shows a smart company. They adjust it very quickly. I a lot of value from that, and then now they're driving for more efficiency as they expand, pushing for more thing they cut on the electricity cost and a lot. So yeah, with heavier revenue, saving more money in between, more profit. So I think Caribbean Cream has a bright future ahead of it.
Yeah,
I mentioned Honeybun in Ting there, Wawa Shop today. We were talking about the market. It's funny, right? People in the Bible talking about the market. And
really.
yeah,
So your barber shop set
somebody
up?
said, yeah, man, Bob Spark going good, man. Everybody learning, everybody investing. Oh, yeah, thing there.
Not bad.
Somebody mentioned that the shorty bread. Well, how people
Mm.
love it, how it's just selling. And I was looking at Honey Bun and I said, boy, the smart company there in the way they've shifted for consumer patterns. The thing there. Out of the products they were selling before snacks. So kids in schools, people at work, eat something at their desk, gas station, buy that type of thing. My name is all right, people in their homes, so they sell bread. It's sell bread that people buy at the bread shop. I mentioned the story when I go market the other day and I see the bread truck pull up and people were like regular buyers to the point where the man just start throw short it to people and they just go
Hmm.
and go to pay. And everybody, shorty, shorty, shorty. Selling he was selling better than the regular national bread.
It must, brother. As bro God said, lockdown my bite.
Right.
Every week, as him say, lockdown my bite. The, the,
Mhm.
the shelves empty. I see the tweets of people talking about the shelves empty. Like that doesn't happen in a vacuum, There's
Mhm.
an effect that will show itself in the market at a set point in the future from what you're seeing there, that tweet of empty shelves. Them have to make it sell it off. We this month we've had like 3 hurricanes just from every time a lockdown we buy. I mean, we locked down last week and we bought like it was going to. The end of August, we started lockdown. We bought like it was going out of style. Week after that, storm, we buy again. Last week, this week, we buy again. I feel like the man them get like 2 or 3 Christmas already, right?
Yeah.
And this to me is just as new sliced bun. It seems
Mhm.
simple, but that's the sort of thing where if it work, it makes sense. I don't know why nobody never sell sliced bun before. We sell sliced bread, right? Right. So if it's something new, it might work. It might be something great, and the company really, really more efficient, as it pointed out. And they seem to be whipping the competitor because Purity not going with nothing
Mhm.
numbers wise. Purity seem to be bleeding numbers wise, while Honey Bun
Everyone doing well.
are just doing well. Them over the hump, them great, and they're at the end of the tax break, and they look like another company that is set to do some very great things very quietly. Right. In 6 months, they made 20 cents per share last year. In 3 months, they made 16 cents per share this year.
Mhm.
Just a very. I don't even go too deep into it, but yeah, it's very clear that Honeybun is doing good business, more efficient, and in my view, likely to probably expand. And if you're expanding, don't use your money, use other people's money. So your
Mhm.
fingers crossed for a raise. Um, and this is one of those again, like quietly
Mhm.
quietly creeping up over the last few months. Just over the last 3 months, very quiet. The 3 months, the third quarter results came out, quietly creeping up.
Mhm.
Yeah, but not much. Not no. It's obvious that the smart money going in. Is it that those big trades, 11 million units from a company where they haven't really had that many units traded over the last year. So big money going in.
Big money talking.
Yeah, yeah. Honeybun is, and I think that I give them enough points on Honeybun, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's just something very exciting about them, I think, and they're a Mayberry company at the end of their tax break,
Yes.
so you know that can go.
It can.
Um, but I don't know if you want to take this one from Troy, and then I saying, how do you interpret the 1.4 million fair value gains from SC on Cygnus's P&L?
Interesting thing. I think you mentioned it in combating the point about why nobody not really understands Cygnus. Cygnus gives very detailed MD&As, and they also give audits. So they spoke about it in the audit. They said that it's let me bring it up, but they earn money from certain investments that they make, and they earn it outside of the regular interest payments that they get.
Mm-hmm.
They actually make so some of them are profit share companies. So they
Some of them might be revenue share also.
revenue share, profit share. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and or. So it's interesting to me. So it's likely that if a company makes a loss, they will take from revenue. If it's profit, they will take from profit. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really protection. They're not they understand that they're taking certain risks with this segment. The bank's
Mm-hmm.
not taking this risk. So the idea here is that all right, if we're going to take the risk, take these risks, we give you the nice term that you want, but we're going to back
Mm-hmm.
ourselves up on some level. So if you can't pay, then we find some way to get the money, or we find some other way or some other way to get money that's not in the regular interest payment every whatever, right? So they've said
Mm-hmm.
before that they recently made some investments. So they've ever had two companies like that before where they were making certain type of things. So before now they were making fair value gains, but it was less. So last year, how much they made last year? Fair value gains.
Hold on. I think this is what he's asking about versus last year. It was a
Mm.
loss, fair value
So,
loss. So 124.5
looking at around about
versus.
looking at Q3. You're looking at Q3.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's asking about latest. Or
Yeah, they gave a thing there. So let me just. But yes, they increase their they want into more investments like that. And so we mentioned before, more money
oh,
lending
sorry,
out, more money coming
sorry,
back.
sorry. My apologies. I just realized what you said that I'm looking at the third
Yeah,
quarter result, not the
Q4.
full year. Yeah,
Mhm.
apologies.
But yeah,
Uh,
more money lent out, so they have more. They made more investments with that money, so more money
mhm.
coming back to us. So a much larger share coming back to us at the end of the day. So really, those type of investments returning more and making a lot of money from that. That's really it. I don't think there is. It's much deeper than that in the actual audit report. They break it down further into what segments, what type of companies they go into, and they break down further what kind of investments they make specifically that give them that kind of return. So yeah,
Also, don't they have I mean, I don't know if there's anything linked to this with your question, Tryon, but I mean, they have an equity stake in SRF, no? Do they? I
in
mean,
what
SCI.
SCL equity taking SRF.
Asking. I could, just because I don't want to go and do the research right now.
I'm not remembering that.
They
I'm a
don't.
recent base. I often check back a lot of things. So
Yeah,
I don't remember.
or they may have been selling something. My point is that, yo, what they do within the group sometimes, like the, there may have been a pre listing holding of shares, and the movement have to be recorded somewhere. Also, like, I don't want to turn it into a Cygnus episode again, but the guys have a different understanding of risk, which allow them to make gains like this. Maybe if it was a Cygnus focus episode, I'd go deeper into it. But yeah, Cygnus, as we always say, can have its own episode because it is such an interesting company. Um, at least for nerds like us. Yeah, nerds like us, such an interesting company. But yeah, sorry, somebody asked to be a speaker just now, and then they came back out. Again, you can be a speaker if you
Signals
want. Just
specialize them money,
mm,
which makes sense. As a real estate financing company, then they find some way to get the cash flow. Signals lends money to companies. So
mhm.
sensible, and it, it's a good way to capitalize on what's going on the real estate side through a different type of investment. They make very specific investment in the different types of companies, so this just makes sense.
Yeah, I'll when we have a Cygnus focus episode, I'll speak more on that and some of the things that they have. But they're an example of what the new finance in Jamaica, which new because nothing is new under the sun, but
Nothing is new. That's
certainly well needed for a long, long time, right?
yep,
And this SRF is one part of a multifaceted plan that I'm sure will continue to pay off. Cygnus itself, you've heard me talk about November from a long time. That will be a great stock in
yep,
November.
yeah, and
November to reach it.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
the thing, Signals troopers, the guys that waiting on it or all that and being impatient, you know what to do. If
Mm,
you really love it that much, there's only one thing to do, right?
yeah. All right. So I won't push for too many more questions. I'll have us wrap up with this one. It's a question again from YouTube from Javan May saying, which private company would you
Private
want to
company.
list on the
You want to listen
JSC?
on JSC. Yeah. All right, so I often think about that question in relation
By the
to
way, your finger on the microphone.
I often think about that question in relation to me going and listing a company, like me taking a stake in someone listening. So
Mm.
I don't think it means exactly like that.
Well,
So
let's take it at face value. Which private company would
no,
you
I don't
want
think I
to?
want to talk about that one. Just say.
Anyway, something soon. I know the IPO talk is heavy these days. I've heard IPO talk from there's been IPO talk about are we close enough for the NWC thing yet? I don't think that's this time for that yet.
No, I don't think so. No, don't
No.
think so. We're close
Soapberry?
enough. So very.
Soapberry, not yet. No. I saw an article recently about the Jamaica Mortgage Bank, which was being spoken about even before Trans and Wigton.
Yeah.
So they're saying is ready now. So who knows? I wouldn't mind if they listed. Um, I've heard IPO talk around. Uh, well, we've heard the stuff that GK have come in, the Spice Company, the
Fiberglass. Oh,
Jamaica
did I
Fiberglass.
consider the things within the GK group as private companies?
I mean, no, technically, legally, they're not private, but if they're not listed, they're not listed
No, they're
directly.
private companies with a public shareholder.
The subsidiary of a public company is a public company, but they're not listed.
They're not listed.
So, what within GK would you want to see listed?
GK Capital, I think there's a lot more to go there.
GK Cap.
And I think they can do a lot more, and I think there's a lot more to go.
I don't think they'd list GK cap. I don't think
I
that
don't
makes
think so either,
sense.
but I want to see it.
No, well, if you want to get, if you want to, oh, well, I hear you. I see that. What I would do in that case, I keep it as part of the GKFG that everybody talks about.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
and maybe I don't. I'd say I want a GKFG list
yes,
with GK cap within it, doing what it does. Yeah,
but
because
they spoke in very recent about listing companies within the GKFG group,
mm,
and I think GK Capital will eat a lot from that side.
oh, undoubtedly, undoubtedly. And there's a whole heap of buzz around that. I see Jonathan Morrison said Tankwell is one that he would want to see listed. Kalila recently made a tweet about what was it about Eddie Focal coming to market. That's an entirely new industry.
I want to see that list because I have so much thoughts about how that can grow really well, more than what the people think of it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, the
In
thoughts
fact,
are.
the recent announcement says a lot. Yeah.
What does it say to you?
The recent announcement about the ACCA, it's a branching away from what people generally think of the company. Oh, just a school extras thing. That's what I've heard most people think of it as. But to me,
Mhm.
we just have a learning platform. There's a lot of things that we can push through that. We spoken about compliance training, at mandatory compliance training for people within the finance sector.
Mhm.
We've seen things, when name again.
And
Every
you just within finance,
we,
we have a heavy BPO focus. They have to be trained. A
training.
lot of that
Any,
training.
literally any company that does a staff training, and in
Hmm.
the data protection app now, we have a lot of training on that. Everybody
Hmm.
that comes into the organization, they have a different role to play around that. Train them. So
Hmm. Yeah, so that
there's a lot of
training,
things coming out of that.
and then of course that is that's against the, I hate speaking like news now, against the background of just the main thing that they actually do, which is actual education. Like school by screen is a real thing. No, like I think people should just get rid of the idea from now that ever again will children go completely face to face. Like
Mhm.
even if my child goes completely face to face, do the extra lessons by screen, because whoever the best
Mhm.
teacher is, I'll the school with them. You'll the school with them. To us, it's like, oh my god, like here's a weird idea I have. Oh my God, these children are at risk of being left behind. This generation is at risk of being left behind because they have a gap. Realistically, I think it's just kids that, to them it's not weird to learn by screen. It's just part of what school is.
It's very interesting because we always see that with a generation shift, then there's a lot of resistance to it. Think about all people that just refuse to learn to use a computer, or just they feel out of the depth using a computer, that type of thing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how the workplace has changed without it. Think about articles we've seen, those old articles around companies incorporating is that a word? Computerizing their workforce. uh,
Computerization, yeah, digitizing the
and how
workforce. Yeah.
we're leaving behind the generation. It's like it was a large concern at the time about,
Mm-hmm.
and we're seeing that more and more and more. There's truly, and we say it a lot on Twitter, there's truly no reason outside of access for a company for children to be face to face in a certain. Well, yes, there is a reason, but like really, we can designate that in a different way. But
Mm-hmm.
learning, class time, and that type of thing, we can put that in. I think we can structure it, and it might be a more efficient way to deliver that type of thing. The children, if we just find a way to teach them through it, then that's fine. As long as we
Mm,
find an effective way to bring across a lesson, we should be good.
yeah. And from our side as investors, if I remember correctly, there were some articles earlier, maybe last year. Yeah, last year, speaking about, it was a Mayberry company. Yeah, partner with
So when they say
investment.
children hate online school, though, it
Your children
again,
hate school.
and it depends on what exactly do they hate about it. I'm sure we can find a way to tackle it. And remember,
Hmm.
these are children that were in a system before. If the new system is that they go through it, if they build a system around it now, they might be
Hmm.
fine.
That might be fine. How
No,
many
they
how
should be.
many things have you learned online? Like we learn
And,
online all the time.
and
It's
think
just
about the fact
us
that
acting like it's weird.
it's a lot of time it's what we used to.
Yeah, yeah. I think what we're showing is that, well, I leave it to the experts, but Eddie Focal, in my view, is set up to lead that charge. And the ministry, I know it's been said, is working with the Ministry of Education, I believe. I think that they did a trial thing with them recently that was public. And really and truly, brother, you know my view already. I've not seen this company miss. I've not seen this brother here miss. I don't know. I always say it. I don't know the I don't know. You hear me say Barry as if he's my friend. I've never met the guy, but I've not seen this company miss yet. So this is 2020, the middle of 2020, they were signing this, and now you hear Khalila's tweet, September 2021. It looks like it's time now. And in the pandemic, I believe it's a great, great time. I think people understand it. And as I said, Berry don't miss yet. So and Mayberry, in my view, hasn't had a bad list in all now. So I'm excited about it. I don't even have kids, but I'm excited about it. And Mayberry also, funny enough,
Can you send your kids to your school when you get them?
I can, you hear somebody say them have some kids for me?
Wait, I said when you get them, so your kids
Yeah,
can go to
yeah,
your school.
yeah, yeah. Well, if Eddie Focal is doing what they seem to be doing, they'll be able to go to school anywhere and get the best teachers, right? Like that's literally reversing brain drain. A good teacher leaves and goes to America or Canada or wherever, but if they're still teaching via computer, your child can get the best lessons or extra lessons. Anyway, so maybe link up and send, and I've turned this into an edifocal ad. But yeah, if this tweet from Kalila is true, it's a very exciting thing, and it'll be good to see that happen. Plus, it'll be good to see another Mayberry listing in the market.
Oh, trust me, I've been. Oh,
Yeah,
almost I would say that now privately.
yeah, the
Well, maybe
market
need to come
missed
with
the
some.
market. The market
We
missed the sense
like
of it.
we
Yeah,
miss it, bro. You know
yeah,
that
yeah.
pitch out thing there. Oh god, I'll find that meme.
Oh God, but yeah, that's probably one of the companies that I would be very excited about. I see Dana say on Twitter also that NWC would be great, not on Twitter, on YouTube. NWC would be great if the funds used properly. And I think Dana in a maybe in a year or so you might hear something from Soapberry, which I think is NWC linked. Might not make sense now, will make sense in a little while. Yeah, yeah, and maybe a gas company, meaning LPG, LNG. I'd love to see something like that listed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to give people options. I love if a little piece of every industry listed. I love if a garage listed. You know, yeah,
Mm.
things like that.
A lot of
Um,
this is happening, and the the investment rabbit hole for Jamaica is very deep, just because a lot of it hasn't been dug yet. So a lot more we
well,
can, a lot
well,
more. We still
I'm
balling
looking.
about small companies. Think about that.
That's true. That's
Signals
true.
there, NCB there, we still balling about medium-sized companies.
That
Think about
is
that.
100% true. All right. Well, I don't want to drag on for too long. We've been here for a little over 2 hours. I'm going to take the chance to thank you to everybody. Depending on how I feel, I might do like a post show or something on just on Twitter Spaces. But thank you for being here. If you're listening to this or watching this on your computer after the date, hope you enjoyed it. And look out for more of this from us. I hope you enjoyed the view. There'll be a link, as I said, to grow my beginner investment course in the links in the show notes. There'll be a discount included. There's also a discount with Danhai's service, investment advisory service, which would also be in the show notes. So if you're looking out for either learning to do it yourself or have somebody who is really good do it for you, options are there.
And we
Um,
also we've seen a lot of questions about what platform you're using right now to look at the stocks. So definitely my money JA should be there as well.
Amazing platform. Always thank you to My Money JA, or official. I said our official data partner. I use them when I'm doing grow. I use them for like you have to track your
I
your,
use them
your
in session. The
portfolio.
clients know. I don't. I'm rinsing that every minute I'm bringing it up.
Love it, love it, love it. I use it to track portfolio. I'll show you a portfolio. This is not my real portfolio, people. It's like a test portfolio. But yeah, you track your portfolio, you see how much you own, how the layout is. I don't even want to click off anything in case it's a business. But I show this part, which I did show for advanced grow. The grow grads know this portfolio. This is a monthly return. This is the return so far for this month, actually, on a portfolio that I've been reworking with them. So it is at 1.8, almost $1 million made in 6 weeks. The market has a lot of great things that can be done. So yeah, look out for it. The percentage is different. It's percentages since the reworking, but the as you can see, from the initial to where it is now, almost a mil in 6 weeks. Yeah, I can't oversell my money, JA. Set up your portfolio, set up alerts so you can hear when a stock pass a certain price or when dividends announced or when trades go this way, all sorts of things. They're there for watch list. There's news around the companies and updated every day. And there's an app coming soon. But yeah, getting early, getting now, as you see how easy it is to see all the information in one spot, whether you want to see the results or the share price or the PE ratio, or look back for something historically or see what the kind of insider trades are. By the way, AMG, that was one of my points. For the first in a long time,
Yeah,
insider trading
insiders are buying
activity,
again.
a big amount too. I just feel like them going to raise some money. I don't know. I just feel it's just a feeling. But of course, you have to back your feelings up with more than that. But I just feel
Yeah.
something like 1.3 million is a large amount in terms of AMG's overall shares. They only have 511 million
Mm-hmm.
shares.
But the feeling is often where it starts, you know. Like you're
Yeah,
feeling something, say you start big.
yeah,
You have to confirm or deny. And sometimes the best thing you can get is a denial because you often find more other things to look at. But
yeah.
it starts with a feeling. Yeah.
That's exactly how I do. You know it. God. That's how you get your way to the to the money.
And
So
much time I say wait there and find money.
yeah, so I can't oversell it, but it really helps, especially if you don't have a lot of time. The alert feature, I mean, you can have it send you a alert on Telegram. You can have it send an alert on WhatsApp coming pretty soon. You have it send you an email the second it passes a certain share price. It's a really really good service. Sign up quick too, and yeah, enjoy your time on the market. And then I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'm Randy Rod RT on Twitter.
And I'm Danhai, Asian on Twitter.
And this has been earnings season, the pandemic episode,
Uh,
the certified investor boy. And again, let me be clear, that's a joke. I am not. Well, I'm a certified investor, but I'm not a certified advisor. That's Danhai. So
I'm
thank
certified
you
advisor. All right, I see.
and good evening. Thank you and good evening.
All right, people, best up.